Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is currently the 1st of September in Australia and the Banlist has finally dropped. We are on the glorious Is the Banlist Up X account, and as shown here, it's a great day for a banlist. So I'm sure a lot of you have already seen the banlist itself, so it's not going to be like a, oh wow, first look into it, like shock reactions, whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the game, the current state, and oh, if you guys didn't know, these channels aren't getting any new art, but yeah, okay, that aside. Let's look at the banlist itself, and then we'll talk about how it affects spread, and also just the whole, like, the banlist shenanigans, all the drama around it that's been going on Twitter/X. Alright, so the forbidden stuff, obviously really lackluster. I feel like there should have been a lot more stuff here, starting with, and I feel like this is going back to 2 banlists ago, where I was kind of like, hey, I want these cards banned, it'll be really nice because these cards are kind of just ass to play against. Starting off with Fiendsmith Lacrima, and that is of course the burn card, but also one of the level 6s. And then alongside the 6s, there's also the Beatrice on the list, which makes it so that, they can't just dump random garbage. And then Apo is on here as well, which has, it's been a while. All these engines being able to just generate like a ton of bodies and then just go into an Apo early on to protect themselves from the Bureau. Quite strong, obviously. So quite a decent ban, that's good there. And then Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. And this is one of the bans that I have been waiting for quite a while as well. Obviously, Centurion is the first one that comes to mind, but there are a couple of like other synchro decks, maybe not so much anymore, that are able to, abuse this little fun card here that stops your opponent from activating any cards. Of course, as a Sprite player, we do have a workaround to just make a Zeus, but obviously not ideal if we're not able to play our turnout. And in the end, if they have more resources or one imperm, we kind of just, lose the game there. And then there's Beatrice, of course. So what's not on here? No, what's not on here are the branded cards. What I mean by branded cards, well, Sanctifier, and of course the Puppet Lock. The Puppet itself, I feel like really should be on here at least, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense to, not put any of those on. It's still really unfun. I feel like it's still quite consistent. And speaking of consistent, let's go to our favorite section, the limited list. Also, this is effective tomorrow, so it's like, wow, you guys get one entire day to, make your decks and then start playing. Not even like a week, as they would normally give us. Alright, so limited Eva is back, which means Drytron has a bit more playability. I believe that it has just gotten support, or will be getting support soon. I haven't looked into that. As an FYI as well, I haven't really been playing the game all too much because I feel like it's just not too fun, like playing against like the full power Snake Eyes, Fiendsmith stuff, or the Ubel Fiendsmith. And speaking of Ubel, oh wow, one hit opening of the Spirit Gates. Like, okay, man. Yeah, good hit, man. Alright, Eva's here, and it's Snake Eye, Ash, and Poplar 2-1. So let's talk about the consistency issue that Konami has. So when it comes to ban lists, they will typically always, okay, hit, kind of like slap the deck a little bit. They'll be like, okay, now it's a little bit harder to draw your engine pieces. Like one Ash, one Poplar, do they need to play more than one for like their combo? No, they don't. It's just, okay, well now I'll draw a little bit less, but you have all these other cards like Bonfire, and then you have OSS as well, of course, that remain untouched. I feel like if you hit one of the big pieces, maybe ban the Flamberge, ban the OSS, well then we're in a much better place. But limiting the Ash to 1 and Poplar to 1, like Master Duel is kind of doing something similar already, where they're, hitting consistency cards, and lowering the rate of drawing these cards. Like, sure, but it's again just, a gentle slap on the wrist more than anything. Number 40 and number C40, Gimmick Puppet of Strings and Dark Strings, well, them being limited, I believe, just stops one of their FTK lines, but there is still one more that you can still play, which doesn't, again, feel very fun to play against. Like, you have an FTK deck here, you have an FTK deck here, you basically have an FTK deck here that remains untouched. The Lacrima, it was a nice hit. Granted, it does stop like the time stuff, But I don't know, it just still feels quite bad. I guess Beatrice not being able to dump like Ash and then summoning everything back again is quite good as well. But yeah, okay. Then we have Branded Fusion at 1. I guess we can expect to see Aliba back at 3 to try and draw the card, thrusts, all that fun stuff. And then not being able to draw it, as consistently is quite nice actually. But like, you didn't really have to hit the main engine. It's just Sanctifier or Gimmick Puppet, and that's the only real like problem stuff of the deck. Like the rest of it is fine. I feel like you just leave it as is. And I've also noticed that a lot of people are quite unhappy with this list. Yeah, opening up the Spirit Gates to 1. Sure. I feel like it would have been better to hit something else. I am still very much not looking forward to playing against this U-Bell deck. Still doesn't seem quite what I want to be playing up against with all their negates on the end. As for how the end board will look now, I am not too sure yet, because as I said, I haven't really been playing this format for a good reason, and this ban list does not exactly encourage me to come back, but I will give it a go still, towards the beginning at least, and I'll see how our deck performs. Something else I'm sad to see, no blue cards here. What does that mean? No Elf back to 1, which is, sad. Sangan Summoning to 1, Terraforming can still search her. You still have the, I believe it's Pydra that searches a spell. So yeah, again, like consistency, sure. Maybe the monsters can be affected. That's about it. Grass is back, but Grass is more like a fun niche card. Like if you're playing a 60 card pile with, I don't know, Tealment, and then as of late, Lightsworn got support as well. So Lightsworn, maybe like chuck in the Sarcophagus, not the gold Sarcophagus, the what do you call it? The Horus monsters. Maybe you can play like a fun mill deck, mill everything, but I don't think it's too good of a card, and it's more like a gimmicky card at best. Again, at 1, it doesn't, seem like it's going to be drawn that consistently, especially in a 60 card deck. Like your chances are a lot slimmer. You do of course have Thrust, but again, it's just, it's a fun deck, but probably won't be too meta defining. Skill Drain. Along with all the floodgates that just kind of kill you if they draw it. Otherwise, it's like, oh, they don't draw anyway. If they do draw it, it feels bad because it's the one of. If they don't draw it, then it's to be expected. But it's just so annoying to have to deal with. I would rather they kind of give this the summon limit treatment, where they just straight up ban it instead of putting it to 1 like anti-spell, everything else. But whatever, that's not too big of a deal. Next up, we have the semi-limits. I am going to spend little to no time talking about these cards because no one really cares about these. Only one worthwhile talking about is the Colossus. But I don't know how many extra bricks, I can say, you want to run the second Colossus as well. Probably not necessary. If they break your board the first time, then whatever, it's probably not looking too good for you. Ib, no one cares about. I don't think that's in any play. Same with the Dragon Rulers and Lunarlight's Tiger. I don't even know what it does. Doesn't matter. Armageddon Knight, Unlimited, Red Rose, Kirin, Plushfire, AFD, Denglong, and Time Seal. I feel like these just don't really matter once again. All people really care about are the bans and the limits and whether or not they hit the top decks. And I guess in some ways it kind of does. That being, okay, maybe the deck is a little bit more prone to hand traps now, but with Rage of the Abyss coming out and the, what is it I forgot, let me just Google it real quick. Azamina coming out in Rage of Abyss, the deck is going to be quite strong still. You're just basically substituting it with another engine, and your deck still works quite well. Yeah, okay, so as for the Sprite stuff, obviously there's not going to be any hits to Sprite because, our deck isn't strong. It's just kind of, yeah, it's pretty good. It does also mean that Shifter might still have to be played, but it's more like a side deck card, just because we don't know how, it's going to shape out just yet. Which also means that the main deck is slightly better because you can run all the cards that Shifter normally destroys. A lot of people are asking for like a deck list last format. I just didn't want to make it because it's like, oh, you want a main deck shifter, but then you have to run like Swap Frog, which, you know, conflicts with it, as well as the Ice Barrier cards, and then Droplet, and then like all the hand traps as well if you want to run like Veil or something. It just kind of sucks to play with. And Sprint, of course. Angler. Yeah. Now, probably more of a hand trap approach. Maybe Nibiru is going to be quite good because of the Apo. Yeah, probably Nibiru, maybe like a Morna as well, as opposed to Super Poly. I don't feel like Super Poly is going to be super useful this format. Droplet's probably still going to be quite nice, especially if you're not running Shifter, main decking at least. And otherwise, the list pretty much stays the same, like our list. So if you haven't seen my previous deck profiles, like I feel like that's still quite relevant. It's basically the same thing. I'm not going to change up too much from that, except to maybe substitute some cards for hand traps. Also, Fenrir is still not on the list, not limited or anything, which is very nice. Prosperity is, however, on the list. Yeah, Pros being at 1, I don't care. Like, you're playing Sprite, you're going to try to FTK. Halving the damage is going to absolutely suck. You can't really FTK through it unless you're playing good old, what do you call it? Trident Dragion, to be able to kill through Prosperity, which is again still ridiculous. But yeah, in fact, it actually makes the deck a little bit less consistent, whereas we should be stepping away from it. If again, like, something small to mention as well is that Hyperia is still a good card to run, but now with Swap Frog, it doesn't really matter. But still, I feel like Prosperity is just not the way to go for us. Overall, I hate how Konami, you know, gradually brings back cards that don't really see any play off the list, like this and this. Like, just, I guess they're being cautious, which is fine, but it just feels like a lot of like nonsense towards the semi and the unlimited sections. As for the limits, like, you're always hitting consistency, never really killing the deck. Maybe it's to sell product in the future, but we waited this long for this. It's not great. Alright, finally I want to talk about the whole ban list stuff. Well, let's look at their posts, okay? So they spent a good amount of time talking about... Also, this has 370 comments. Let's quickly scroll through a little bit of this just to see. There we go. There's the whole horse vomiting thing. I still don't understand that meme, but sure. A lot of nonsense being posted by the account, instead of being very clear. Like, look at this ratio. Holy crap. The comments. Instead of being very clear on exactly when the balance is going to be dropping, they, you know, uploaded a YouTube video about Master Duel saying like, oh, hey, we're going to release the ban list at the on the last day, just before, like a full day before the list drops. Like, great, thank you for the insight. We kind of figured that if you said, you know, end of August and there's only like 1 or 2 days left, that it's going to drop in the next day or two. It's not that hard to just, and I feel like I'm going to be echoing a lot of, like, you know, a lot of the thoughts that you guys may already have or have heard about. It's not hard to just say, hey, we're going to drop a ban list on this day. Look forward to it. Transparency, why are you being so, like, you know, obnoxious about this? And the fact that they said, instead of, you know, on the 31st or the last day of the month, they were like, oh, towards the end. And so everyone's been like, oh, wow, we got to, you know, check Twitter every single night. For me, it's at 4 a.m. and it kind of ruins the sleep schedule. That aside, like, that doesn't matter too much. It's mainly just, you know, make it simple, just be transparent, say, hey, I'm going to drop it on this date. Not that hard, Konami. And then if you are going to make us wait that long for a ban list, don't give us this garbage, man. Like, it's alright, but it's overall not too great. Look forward to a deck list, but like I said, it's probably going to be quite similar to what we had already. The Toad stuff is still quite strong, and we should still be very strong going first. The question is always also just like, oh, are they going to be playing Dark Ruler instead of Nibiru? What should we be looking out for? Probably less Dark Ruler, so it should be okay. That's about it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.